The unexpected emergence. The galactic Concordat had ruled the stars for 3,000 cycles. From the elegant spires of Saltraxis Prime, the 7 elder species had guided the development of countless civilizations across 5 spiral arms of the Milky Way. They were the peacekeepers, the technological gatekeepers, and the self-appointed stewards of evolution. Their rule was absolute, their wisdom unquestioned. Until today. Grand Arbiter Thex Loren of the Silurian Collective floated in his gravity sphere, his translucent exoskeleton pulsing with agitation as the emergency session of the Concordat High Council convened. The massive crystalline chamber, suspended in orbit around the neutral world of harmony, trembled with whispers and anxious movements. "This is unprecedented," hissed Ambassador Silix, her feathered crest flaring with each word. The avian Chrysidian representative rarely showed emotion. Her species prided themselves on detachment and logical thought. Humanity was classified as a Tier 3 developing species. Their technology assessment placed them at least a century from achieving viable interstellar travel. Yet here we are, rumbled Magister Dorn. The massive Tor representative's 4 arms gripped his ceremonial staff, the metal groaning under the pressure of his agitation. Facing a vessel that shouldn't exist. The hologram hovering at the center of the chamber rotated slowly, displaying a ship unlike anything the Concordat had encountered in centuries of rule. The vessel was unmistakably a warship. No civilian craft would require such armor plating, such obvious weapon emplacements. It measured nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, it tall a dark matte gray that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Most disturbing was its design philosophy. The vessels of the elder races were organic in form, flowing shapes of breathtaking elegance. This human ship was angular, brutalist, with sharp edges and deliberate, intimidating silhouettes, a throwback to a more violent age of galactic history. "The humans call it defiance," said Administrator Prelixin, the Datary information specialist, her 12 fingers dancing through projected screens of data. "It appeared at the edge of the Arcturus system 6 hours ago and transmitted a simple message requesting an audience with the Concordat." Requesting. Thex Loren's voice carried a note of disbelief. Not begging. Not pleading forgiveness for violating Concordat directives on technological development. They were polite but firm. Prelixin replied, her metallic skin reflecting the light of 1,000 stars through the chamber's transparent dome. The communications officer identified herself as Captain Navarro of the United Earth Defense Force. She stated that Admiral Elena Varga wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Concordat as equals. Equals. The word echoed across the chamber like a profanity. Magister Dorn slammed his staff against the floor. They are barely 500 years into their industrial age. They were squabbling over petroleum and engaging in tribal warfare when my ancestors were already colonizing their 3rd star system. The final member of the High Council, the ancient void-born representative known only as the Witness, finally spoke. Unlike the others, the Witness had no physical form, existing instead as a swirling cloud of bioluminescent particles contained within an ornate vessel. When it spoke, everyone listened. "Bring them in," it said, its voice simultaneously coming from everywhere and nowhere. "If the humans wish to speak, we shall listen." The chamber fell silent. No one argued with the Witness. 20 minutes later, the human delegation materialized on the receiving platform. 3 figures, significantly fewer than expected for such a momentous meeting. At their center stood a woman of medium height, her posture rigid, her uniform a deep navy blue adorned with silver insignia. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, emphasizing sharp cheekbones and piercing green eyes that surveyed the chamber with methodical precision. "Admiral Elena Varga, United Earth Defense Force," she announced, her voice carrying effortlessly across the vast space. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Grand Arbiter Thex Loren drifted forward in his gravity sphere. "This is highly irregular, Admiral. According to the Concordat's classification system, Earth is a protected developing world. Your species is not authorized for interstellar travel, let alone military vessels. A slight smile curved the Admiral's lips. With all due respect, Arbiter, humanity has never agreed to these classifications, nor have we consented to any limitations on our development. Consent is not required. Magister Dorn bellowed, stepping forward. His massive form towered over the humans. The Concordat has guided the development of species for millennia. It is for your own protection, for the protection of all. Admiral Varga didn't flinch. The two officers flanking her, a tall black man with lieutenant commander insignia, and a shorter woman of East Asian descent, remained equally impassive. Protection, Varga repeated, almost thoughtfully. An interesting choice of words. For 300 years, humanity has been aware of the existence of the Concordat. We've observed your vessels in our solar system, monitored your communications, studied your technology. A ripple of shock passed through the council. Ambassador Silix's feathers stood on end. That's impossible. Our cloaking technology is based on phase-shifted quantum matrices, interrupted the female officer beside Varga. Commander Lin, Chief Science Officer. She introduced herself with a curt nod. We detected your observation posts in the Kuiper Belt 70 years ago. Your surveillance drones have poor security protocols by our standards. The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices overlapped, some demanding answers, others calling for immediate sanctions. Through it all, Admiral Varga and her officers stood calmly, waiting for order to return. The witness pulsed brightly, its light cutting through the commotion. Silence, it commanded, and all obeyed. It drifted closer to the humans. You have been deceiving us. Not deceiving, Varga corrected. Protecting ourselves, just as you claim to be protecting us. She gestured to the hologram of defiance still rotating above them. We determined early on that the Concordat employs a system of technological determination. Species are classified, their development monitored, and intervention occurs when certain thresholds are crossed. For good reason, Prelk Sin interjected. Unfettered technological development leads to self-destruction. 87% of spacefaring species that achieve FTL capability without guidance destroy themselves within 3 generations. Perhaps, acknowledged Varga, but humanity has always taken a different approach to survival. We prefer to determine our own fate. So you built this warship, Thexloran said, the disdain evident in his voice. To what end? Declaring war on the Concordat would be suicide. We command the combined fleets of 17 spacefaring civilizations. For the first time, the tall man beside Varga spoke. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Okafor, Strategic Operations, he said, his deep voice resonating through the chamber. The Defiance is not declaring war. It is declaring independence. Defiance is the first of Earth's Guardian-class vessels, Admiral Varga continued. But it is not alone. For the past century, we have been constructing our fleet in secret, deep within the asteroid belt, beneath the ice of Europa, in the shadows of Saturn's rings, all places your surveillance missed. Holographic projections appeared around the chamber, displaying detailed schematics of 5 distinct vessel classes, hundreds of ships in various stages of completion, orbital defense platforms, planetary shield generators, the full military infrastructure of a major stellar power. Impossible, whispered Ambassador Silix. Your civilization barely achieved lunar landing a century ago. A carefully maintained fiction, replied Commander Lin with a hint of pride. We reached Mars 50 years before our official records indicate. We developed fusion power nearly a century before revealing it publicly. Every breakthrough, every major technological advance was developed twice, once for public consumption, and the real version for our defense program. Grand Arbiter Thexloran's translucent body had turned a pale shade of gray, a sign of extreme distress in his species. Why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue your deception? Admiral Varga straightened, her eyes meeting each council member's gaze in turn. Because humanity is ready to join the galactic community, but on our terms. We will not be classified, contained, or controlled. We have studied your history, Arbiter. We know the Concordat began with noble intentions, preventing civilizations from destroying themselves through unchecked advancement. But over time, that mission twisted. The Jushan civilization denied antimatter technology 2 centuries ago. They were ready. The Prometheans, whose FTL research was sabotage, they were capable. You speak of matters you don't understand, growled Magister Dorn. We understand power, countered Varga, and the fear of losing it. The Concordat no longer guides species for their protection, but to maintain its dominance. Developed worlds are kept dependent on Concordat technology. Emerging civilizations are throttled before they can challenge the established order. The Witness pulsed, its bioluminescence shifting through spectra visible and invisible. What do you want, humans? Admiral Varga's expression softened slightly. Exactly what I said at the beginning. Recognition, respect, and the right to determine our own future. And if we refuse, asked Thexloran, then we will continue as we have been, developing our technology, expanding through our star system, and eventually beyond. But we would prefer to do so as allies rather than potential adversaries. The message was clear. Humanity would not be denied. The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the gathered representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. For 3,000 cycles, they had directed the course of intelligent life in this sector of the galaxy. Now, a species they had dismissed as primitive had not only evaded their control, but had developed in secret to the point where they could demand recognition. This is unprecedented, Ambassador Celix repeated, but this time her voice carried a note of something else. Respect, perhaps, or caution. Humanity often is, Admiral Varga replied. Defiance of the stars. The journey from the Concordat High Council chamber to the Defiance took less than 15 minutes via the human shuttle. Grand Arbiter Thexloran, accompanied by Prelixin and Ambassador Celix, had accepted Admiral Varga's invitation to tour the vessel, partly out of diplomatic courtesy, but mostly from burning curiosity. As the shuttle approached, the true scale of Defiance became apparent. The massive warship dominated the viewport, its angular silhouette blocking out the stars behind it. Unlike the biomechanical vessels of the Concordat, with their flowing lines and organic aesthetics, this human creation was unapologetically engineered, a machine designed for a purpose. Your vessel lacks elegance, observed Ambassador Celix, her head tilted as she studied the approaching ship. Form follows function, replied Commander Lin, who was piloting the shuttle. The Defiance wasn't built to be beautiful. It was built to survive. The shuttle bay swallowed them, a cavernous space filled with smaller craft, fighters, interceptors, and utility vehicles. Hundreds of humans moved with purpose throughout the bay, their orchestrated movements resembling a complex dance. The Concordat representatives were struck by the absence of automation. In their civilizations, such menial tasks would be performed by drones or synthetic workers. You use biological entities for maintenance, asked Prelixin, her 12 fingers twitching with the urge to record this peculiarity. We use people, corrected Lieutenant Commander Okafor. Every crew member on Defiance is cross-trained in multiple disciplines. When systems fail, when algorithms break, humans adapt. They proceeded through the ship, each section revealing new surprises. The propulsion systems utilized principles similar to Concordat technology, but implemented in ways the elder races had never considered. The weapons systems were both more primitive and more innovative. Railguns accelerating projectiles to relativistic speeds, energy weapons drawing power directly from the ship's massive fusion reactors. Most disturbing to the Concordat representatives was the ship's resilience. Everything had redundancies. Systems were designed to function even when partially destroyed. The ship could lose entire sections and continue operating. Your vessel is designed to endure significant damage, Thexloran observed. You built it expecting conflict. Admiral Varga, leading the tour, paused. We built it hoping for peace but prepared for the alternative. Humanity's history is written in blood. Arbiter. We've learned the hard way that strength is respected, weakness exploited. A primitive outlook, sniffed Ambassador Silix. Perhaps, Varga conceded, but effective. They reached the bridge, a vast command center unlike anything in Concordat vessels. Where the elder races relied on direct neural interfaces, humans used physical controls, holographic displays, and vocal commands. Dozens of officers manned stations, monitoring systems, analyzing data, ready to react to any contingency. Impressive, admitted Prelixin, her scientific curiosity overcoming her political reservations. But all this begs the question, how? How did humanity achieve this level of development without detection? Admiral Varga gestured for them to follow her into a side chamber, a war room with a large table at its center. As they took their seats, a holographic display activated, showing the solar system. Operation Silent Shield began after our first detection of non-human technology in 2084, she explained. A Concordat probe crashed in the Atacama Desert. We recovered it, studied it, reverse-engineered what we could. That's when we learned we weren't alone, and that we were being watched. Impossible, whispered Prelixin. That probe was designed to self-destruct upon failure. It tried. Commander Lin said with a slight smile. We contained the detonation, the first of many technological hurdles we overcame. The hologram shifted, showing Earth's history from a new perspective. The secret history that had been hidden from Concordat observers. Underground research facilities, asteroid mining operations disguised as scientific missions, the incremental development of technologies that would have triggered Concordat intervention protocols. We maintained a facade, continued Varga. Every public breakthrough was carefully staged, always keeping our true capabilities concealed. Meanwhile, the Defense Initiative worked in the shadows, building our real technological base. But why? Demanded Thexloran. The Concordat's guidance has prevented countless species from self-destruction. We offer protection, knowledge, wisdom. Admiral Varga's expression hardened. At what cost, Arbiter? We've intercepted enough Concordat communications to understand your methodology. Species that develop too quickly, that show too much independence, find their progress mysteriously stalled. Accidents occur. Key researchers disappear. Promising technologies fail. The accusation hung in the air, unanswered. The Quanti civilization, Varga continued. They developed a revolutionary approach to quantum computing 2 centuries ago. Their entire research facility suffered a containment breach. The Novan Republic was close to achieving independent FTL travel. Their prototype vessel experienced drive failure during testing. Ambassador Silix's feathers bristled. You cannot possibly. We have the records, interrupted Commander Lin. Concordat intervention protocols, surveillance reports, operation logs, all extracted from your own systems. The room fell silent. The implications were clear. Humanity hadn't just developed technology in secret. They had breached Concordat security, accessed classified information, and used it to protect themselves. For 3,000 years, Admiral Varga said softly, the Concordat has decided which species may advance and which must wait. You call it protection. We call it control. Before Thexloran could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Commander Okafor pressed a hand to his comm device. Multiple vessels dropping out of FTL. Admiral, he reported, his voice tense but controlled. Concordat signatures, heavy cruiser class. Varga's gaze locked with Thexloran's. Is this your doing, Arbiter? The Silurian's exoskeleton pulsed with agitation. I issued no such order. But the Council has autonomous defense protocols. Your vessel's presence may have triggered them. They rushed back to the bridge. The main view screen showed 5 Concordat vessels, sleek, biomechanical constructs that seemed to flow through space rather than simply travel through it. Their weapons ports were open, energy signatures building. They're taking up attack positions, reported a tactical officer, her voice steady despite the tension. "Shields at maximum," ordered Varga. "Weapons systems online, but hold fire unless I give the command." Prelixin stepped forward, her 12 fingers dancing through the air as she accessed the Concordat battlenet through her neural implants. "This is Defense Protocol Omega-7. Triggered automatically when an unregistered military vessel approaches Concordat space." "Can you stand them down?" demanded Varga. "I'm trying," the Deteri replied, her fingers moving faster. "But the protocol requires verification from 3 council members to override." Ambassador Silix joined her, adding her own authorization. 2 is not enough. We need the witness or Magister Dorn." "We don't have time," growled Thexloren. "Those ships will open fire in 60 seconds. The bridge fell silent. Every human officer watched Admiral Varga, waiting for her command. The fate of first contact, perhaps of humanity's future in the stars, hung in the balance. Varga straightened, her decision made. "Commander Lin, initiate the Argus Protocol." Lin's fingers flew across her console. "Argus Protocol activated, Admiral." For several seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the Concordat vessels lost power, their sleek forms drifting aimlessly in space. Weapons ports closed, engines shut down, even life support systems flickered. "What have you done?" gasped Prelixin, her metallic skin paling. "Demonstrated why humanity deserves respect," replied Varga calmly. "The Argus Protocol is a targeted electromagnetic pulse designed specifically to disrupt Concordat bioneural systems without causing permanent damage. Your ships will reboot in approximately 10 minutes. The implication struck the Concordat representatives like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't just built warships. They had developed countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize Concordat technology. "How many?" whispered Thexloren, his voice barely audible. "How many ships does Earth have?" "Enough," replied Varga simply. A communication alert sounded. On the main view screen, the cloudy form of the witness appeared. "Most interesting," it said, its bioluminescence pulsing with what might have been amusement. "The human vessel disabled 5 Concordat cruisers without destroying them. Precise, measured, deliberate. We have no desire for war," Admiral Varga responded. "Only recognition." "And you have it," the witness declared. "The human demonstration is persuasive. The Concordat will recognize Earth as an independent power, exempt from development protocols." Relief washed over the bridge, though the human officers maintained their composure. This was only the beginning, a first step toward humanity's place among the stars. "There will be resistance," warned Thexloren. "Many in the Concordat will view this as a dangerous precedent." "Let them," replied Varga. "Humanity doesn't seek to dismantle the Concordat or challenge its authority over willing protectorates. We simply choose our own path." As power returned to the Concordat vessels, a new message was transmitted from the Defiance to the Concordat fleet, to the Council Chamber, and to every listening post in this sector of the galaxy. "This is Admiral Elena Varga of the United Earth Defense Force. Today marks a new chapter in galactic history, one where humanity stands as an equal among the stars. We come not as conquerors, not as supplicants, but as explorers, innovators, and when necessary, defenders. We extend a hand in friendship to all who would meet us as equals, and a warning to any who would threaten our freedom. Humanity will not be controlled. We will forge our own destiny among the stars." As the message echoed across subspace channels, the Defiance burned bright against the darkness. Humanity's first warship, yes, but also a symbol of something the Concordat had not seen in millennia. A species that had defied their expectations, overcome their obstacles, and emerged stronger for it. The age of Concordat dominance was ending. The age of human defiance had begun.